Big Q, what's the word?
How you doing, Kev?
Hey man, hey, I was up late last night. I worked late, but some good news came out. Chicago White Sox did not botch their managerial search. They actually hired somebody who might be competent and will Venable. And then we also have bad news on the Lonzo Ball front. My man is injured, out for the next couple of weeks. And then, of course, Chicago Bears left tackle out as well with Braxton Jones out. Can Amegadjie step in and do better than he did on Sunday? We're going to talk about all those things and more right after the intro. All right, good morning, Chicago sports fans. Welcome to another episode of Chi-Town Sports Central. It's your boy, Big Kev, along with Q. We are your daily host here with Steve-O out, not feeling well. We're going to hold it down for the game. The show must go on. So as I stated last night or early this morning, however you want to look at it, the Chicago White Sox announced that they have found their manager. Venable will be taking over the helm for the Chicago White Sox. And I'm just going to be frank. I like it. I like it. My man just won the World Series last season with the Texas Rangers. He's also was the assistant to President Theo Epstein back in 2018 and 2019 for the Chicago Cubs. He also had some stints with the Boston Red Sox, so on and so forth. And he had a pretty solid playing career. He's only 42 years old, making him the 44th manager in the history of the Chicago White Sox. And I just feel as though they got it right. They had a chance to go and get a couple of people from different places, and the last one, the name that was kind of coming out on top, was the gentleman who coached the Angels to a terrible record last season before Otani left. And I didn't want that to happen. I didn't want the White Sox to go ahead and get a placeholder or somebody that was just going to come here and be a face until they finally found their manager later. How you feeling about this here pickup?
I mean, as a Cubs fan, it annoys me, but I mean, it's a good move for you. It's a good move for the Sox. Having somebody, anybody who comes from that Epstein world is going to be good, right? The man had a plan. He executed it, and coming from something like that, it's going to give you some type of experience. He's won a World Series, also more experience. That's what you need in your coach. You need somebody who has experience, who knows how the game should be played, not just throughout the season, but in the crunch time, in the playoffs, in those situations. So I mean, the Sox did what they needed to do. They went out, they got them somebody who can actually do something, someone who can talk to these players and have them have some respect for them. Now it's just going to be about getting your young players and, getting the guys to actually surround him and play that type of team baseball. I mean, how that comes down to the rest of the management, we'll find out. But you guys made a good move. As a Cubs fan, I don't know. I don't like y'all being too good. As long as y'all are worse than us, we're gonna be okay.
Listen, I'm excited about the entire situation because again, this guy was highly sought after. Now, the White Sox haven't officially announced this; they're going to wait until after the World Series, has been extended with the Yankees getting a big win last night to force Game 5. But according to different people around the baseball world, it's not a surprise that Venable was selected, and I'm more surprised that he decided to go to the White Sox than that they were interested in him. He just has a history of being around winners, and he's only 42 years old. And I guess if you want to start out your managerial career with a challenge, then that's what he decided to do. It's no secret the Chicago White Sox went 41 and 121 last season, but they still have Luis Robert Jr., they still have Garrett Crochet, who might still be with the team this upcoming season. So we'll see, man. We'll see. AJ Przinsky was excited. He said it was a good move. He said his demeanor and Ivy League background are solid foundational qualities. And honestly, if you look at just the way sports have been going across different leagues, going younger at the head coach or the manager position has been working out. You got the coach in the Boston Celtics winning the championship. He's pretty young. He's younger than some of the players on his team. You got the LA Rams winning the championship within the last couple of seasons. Their coach Shanahan or Sean McVay is pretty young as well out there, and the list goes on across different sports. I'm happy to see younger player, kind of like a changing of the guard taking place across these head coaching positions, because frankly, I'm tired of seeing these old cats like a Doc Rivers who just honestly just hasn't shown much since his Boston days, just barely making it out of first round, second round of the playoffs since then, but constantly getting more and more opportunities to go fail somewhere else, because let's be frank, when you get to those bigger names and the coaching positions, you bring them in to win championships, not to just get you to the playoffs. And you see it happening again and again across different sports. Big name guys just basically changing jobs and not winning.
Yeah, I mean, when you to look at it, what's happening now is we're starting to see the new guard, right? Older coaches played the way that they played when they were on the court or when they used to win championships. They're going to keep that mentality of what you need to do. And a lot of those things are good for the game, but you have to get new perspectives. That's how new things are made, right? So having a younger coach, someone who has experienced those things, has seen it, but has their own thoughts on how the game should be played, as well as just someone who's young enough to connect with the players. Like we're seeing more and more. You have to have that connection with your locker room.
Especially with this TikTok generation. If you can't get out there and do this stuff with them too, it's a wrap, man. You out of touch. And you saw it happen with the White Sox when they brought in who was the coach? The old dude that was the Cardinals coach that they brought back to the White Sox a couple of seasons ago. He got pulled over for drunk driving. Was it? It's not Lou Pinella, is it? I can't think of his name right now, but I'm gonna pull it up. But he tried to do old school coaching, old school approach, and it just didn't resonate with the team. Let's see. Uh, but yeah, it just didn't resonate with the team. These younger guys just need to, just need to have somebody that can relate to them. I agree with you. Um, I'll pull it up and then we'll talk about it later. But anyhow, I have a poor memory, man. Every time I want to
Right.
talk about somebody, it just slips my mind, and I know exactly. I see the dude facing my head. So hit us up in the comments down below if you can remember who I'm talking about. But he was the White Sox coach that stepped down uh, late in the season, a couple of seasons ago, before Pedro Gafal was hired to take over. And he just didn't resonate with the guys. He was out there doing old school baseball tactics, not really going to bat for the guys, and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, the Chicago White Sox, I believe, have found their guy. And this type of move causes me to believe that they're really in it to win it, if that makes sense, for a team that only won 41 games last year. But it seems like they're ready to move forward and change the culture of this team. How you feeling about that?
We'll see. Every team says they're ready to change until they make another dumb move. So this is a good first step, right? You got to coach. But part of last year wasn't just the coach, it was the players. So if you get a good coach and you give them the same players and they play like trash again, you're going to be in the same position. So that's what it's going to come down to is, are you really ready to make a change? Not just with coaching, but are you willing to trade people? Are you willing to go try to get somebody who's going to help this team player wise? There's more than just one move you have to do if you're the Sox.
Oh
And
yeah,
if it
absolutely.
comes down to that, if you're not making those moves, you're not going nowhere. So I think it stands to be seen. We're gonna have to wait to see what they do with the players and then the offseason, all of that. But it's a good first move for them for next year.
Yeah, Tony La Russa is who I was reaching for. I thought you as a Cubs fan would have been able to help me out with that. Tony La Russa was was the old guard that came in here, and they expected him to be able to whip these guys into shape, and it just didn't work out. And I'm glad that they didn't decide to go get another 70, 80-year-old dude to try to bring him into this to this team. And you're absolutely right. Obviously, this isn't just it's not just with this guy as a manager, not with just Venable as a manager, but what type of coaching staff is he going to have around him? And obviously, Chris Getz has already gone on record claiming that the White Sox weren't going to be big major players in the free agency market. Hopefully he can come in and change their mind a little bit on that, because they need some veteran leadership in this clubhouse. And unfortunately, the White Sox is just a young team that's just not ready to go out there and produce day in and day out. We saw it this past season, but I do expect them to be better, because a lot of it was on Pedro Grifol. He was just a terrible manager. He never had the locker room. He never had the ear of those guys. They never respected him at all from day one. From day one, 2 seasons ago, when the White Sox were still considered contenders, he was just not a good coach or not a good manager. A lot of people got traded, and they're not on his team anymore because he couldn't get a control of this locker room. So hopefully, Will Venable will be able to come in and take care of business. If you guys want to hear anything else about the Chicago White Sox, head on over to the new Chicago White Sox Central page, where we drop all breaking news and analysis for the team. Myself is hosting over there, and then of course you've got Hayes and Steve Osprees popping in and out over there. All right, moving right along. This is going to be the lead topic until the White Sox swooped in with their own news overnight. My boy Lonzo Ball has suffered an early season injury, and fortunately, it's not anything major. When it comes to Lonzo Ball, you hold your breath when you hear the word injury and his name put together. But at the end of the day, he did suffer a hand injury that's going to keep him out for at least the next 10 days. And honestly, I don't think it's a bad thing. Now, he did close out the game, a lot of the fourth quarter the other day, but players like Julian Phillips and Dalen Terry were able to see an uptick in their minutes when Lonzo was out. And of course, Io is going to have to take a step forward as well. He did play well the other night versus Memphis. I don't think it's a bad thing that Lonzo's not going to be in and out of the lineup over the next 10 days. We'll see a little bit more of Matas Buzelis as well. How you feeling about this subtraction from the lineup with Lonzo Ball being out for the next 2 weeks?
I mean, the Bulls are going to have a little bit of change. I mean, we've seen Lonzo helps this team go. They just play differently when he's on the floor. But the first thing is, one, I'm just happy it's not his knee.
Mm-hmm.
As long as it's not his knee, we are good. I can take a wrist, a finger, great. Go ahead, take a couple days off. It looks like the Bulls, medical staff is really trying to look after the players. They're giving them time off immediately. They're not trying to force people to play, which is a good sign. But I think it's a good thing to get young people minutes, right? We haven't
Mm-hmm.
seen Modest play hardly ever, and that's to be expected. He's a rookie, but getting him a chance to have a couple of those minutes, right? Having Dalen, who's been playing really good on defense, get some time to be out there, show what he can do. Julian Phillips has shown he can shoot the three, and he also has athleticism. So getting the young players to go, getting them time to really show what they can do while he's out, it's just going to be, like I said, the first time we talked about Lonzo being in and out. It's going to come down to, can you make up for what Lonzo gives you with your other players in their minutes? When you're out there, Lonzo helps the team keep moving without the ball. You got to keep doing that. You can't just play a different type of basketball. So that's what we got to focus on. I think he'll come back. He'll be fine. I've heard people talk about, excuse me. I've heard people talk about he must be feeling terrible right now. Honestly, Lonzo probably is happy. He knows he'll come back in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that's what it's about. Like
Yeah.
he's gonna get to play the game.
I don't think he's worried about it at all, and he has built in rest into his schedule, so I don't think Lonzo Ball is at all concerned about the hand injury. And he got hurt, and he hurt the hand in the first quarter of the game and played through it to finish the game, and got heavy minutes in the fourth quarter. And he played his most minutes of the season, I think, with 18 minutes
Yep.
that night. So I think the rest will be good for him. I feel like Lonzo's not too worried, and I'm sure he took a huge sigh of relief just thinking about where he's come from, how far he's come in the last 2.5, 3 years, and that it's not a major injury, not something that's going. I mean, now if this hand injury turns into another 2, 3 year hiatus, I'm just gonna be livid. But all jokes aside, I think Lonzo's gonna be fine as long as he
Yeah.
keeps himself in shape, keeps himself healthy, doesn't take slack off over these next 10 days, puts in the work, keep those legs moving. He should be all right. And again, the young guys are gonna get more tick out of it because of it. He's not gonna be the first man or the second man off the bench behind Io or the first man off the bench. And again, maybe we see a little bit more Matis. Maybe we see a little bit more Dalen Terry. We should see a more Julian Phillips, frankly, because Julian Phillips needs to be on the court. I mean, he's showing
Yeah.
you that he can hit that corner three. He's showing you that he can be athletic and dunk the ball, get to the basket, get some strong rebounds. And maybe you see an uptick in Josh Giddey's minutes. He's been showing that he can run the show as well if he can stay out of foul trouble. Perhaps he gets into the 35-minute range tonight versus the Orlando Magic. So speaking of the Orlando Magic, we already know what they bring to the table. They're a strong defensive team, and the Chicago Bulls cannot go out there and have another big turnover night as they've been wanting to do. It's been up and down this season. There's only been 4 games, but 2 out of the 4 games they've had a lot of turnovers, and 2 out of the other 2 they've had only less than 10 turnovers. And those games that they had less than 10 turnovers, lo and behold, were W's. Can the Chicago Bulls Q go out tonight versus the Orlando Magic and protect the ball and compete for a win tonight?
Can they? Yes. Will they? I don't know. Paolo's coming off a good stretch. He's looking like he has really decided to show that he's going to be an MVP type of player. Um, and the Bulls don't really have a good team for big matchups, right? Like our issue is when we have to play power forwards that are strong, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those Giannis's, Palos, Ben Gordon. Yeah, we would have trouble with Ben Gordon. Uh,
Yeah.
Eric Gordon, though. Those type of players, the Bulls aren't good at defending because we don't have a lot of strong players other than Patrick Williams, right?
Mm-hmm.
And half the time we got Julian Phillips or Dalen Terry trying to guard a power forward. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so with Smith being out, with Patrick playing the way he's been playing this year, where he kind of looks less aggressive on defense too. There's gonna be a lot of minutes this game where you got a Dalen Terry trying to guard Paolo Banchero.
What you mean, Jalen Smith is out?
Yeah, I thought they said he was out with his with like a ankle injury or something.
It doesn't show, at least not from what I'm looking at right now. I can double check, but I do know that Jonathan Isaac is out for those guys. Hold on, let me.
Isaac's always out. Isaac Isaac has been out. I don't even understand that. He come back, get injured, come back, get injured. He just
He's iffy, so he's a game time decision with
uh
an ankle sprain. But we need him out there because that man has been playing really well, and he's been stretching the floor. But I'm right there with you. Orlando's sitting at 3-1. The Bulls are at home, so maybe they can get up for this matchup tonight. But it's gonna be a rough one. That boy Paolo coming off the best game of his career, 15 points, 13 rebounds, 9 assists. Um, you know, Carter Jr. is out there. Wendell is stepping
he
his
gonna come
game up.
after us. He gonna come
Right,
after us every time.
he always plays his best games against the Bulls. And Vucevic, a rejuvenated Vucevic going against his former team. I think he's going to step up tonight and continue
Definitely.
to be a good player for the Bulls. But it's going to come down to whether or not Zach LaVine and Kobe White, that backcourt for the Chicago Bulls, can keep control, can keep their turnovers down. Zach already has 7 turnovers in 2 games this season, and we know that Orlando's calling card is defense. That's just the reality of it. They're going to play defense. They're going to play the passing lanes. They're going to play tough on the perimeter. My man's what's his name? The young fella out there that Jalen Suggs. He's a great perimeter defender, and he's going to make it hard for those guys. So if the Bulls can hold on to the ball, man, it would be good to see them get a good win tonight. This would be a big win, a statement win early in the season to move to 3-2, to move to 1-1 at home. Bulls fans don't want to see them lose again after that debacle that they had against Oklahoma City on Saturday. So I'm expecting them to come out and play a little bit more poised, a little bit more measured, and play within themselves. Even if Jalen Smith is out, even with Lonzo Ball is out, I do believe they have what it takes with Zach LaVine playing, measured, and with Kobe White playing not necessarily as streaky as he's been, but being consistent and coming back down to earth. Because at the end of the day, we cannot have Kobe White go out there and go 0 for 9 for 3. And we also need Ayo Dosunmu to step up
Yeah.
and help out this bench unit because he's been up and down so far this season as well.
Yeah, they've been struggling off the bench a lot, and I hate to say it. I think the Bulls can win this game if they keep shooting the way they've been shooting. They can definitely win. But if Smith doesn't play, Paolo might go off for 45 again.
Nah, even if he does play.
I don't know who gonna guard him. Like if Smith is out, you got Patrick. Like he can't guard him all game. So I don't know what's gonna happen if we don't have, because then Vooch is gonna be stuck out there. Like we
Yeah.
It's gonna be a long game if
It's gonna
Smith
be a
goes
long
off.
game regardless.
Yeah.
Regardless of who plays out there. We've had trouble with Orlando over the last couple of years, pretty much since we traded for Vooch and they started picking all the players that the Bulls probably would have picked in the draft. So it is what it is, man. If you guys want to hear anything else about the Chicago Bulls, head on over to Chicago Bulls Central where Hayes holds it down, and of course the rest of the gang. See Steve O, Bobby, myself, and C Dub pop in and out. And then of course catch the live call for on the Shy Bulls podcast for the game tonight before the Bulls versus Orlando Magic. C Dub does an amazing job. Turn the game on, turn your TV down, pause it to catch up to wherever he is so you can be in sync and watch him call the game because he does a great job. Steve O and Bobby will be there as well. I'll be at work, but I'll be in and out throughout the season also. All right, moving on to the last topic of the day. Real quick, before we get to the Bears, just on Chicago Sky, Shaquille O'Neal, that was cringy, bro. Cringy,
Yeah.
cringy,
That
cringy,
was
cringy.
that
I
was
wasn't gonna talk about it because this is a few days ago. But now that I've done a little bit more deep analysis on it and paying attention to like the history that the two of them have together as LSU, former LSU players, and the fact that he was kind of like a father like figure to her.
hmm
At least the optics presented that for the last couple of years, and then for him to be her boss at Reebok, and he's making her one of the faces of Reebok and the rejuvenation of that brand. To see him go on that show at 52 years old and sit there and dress and look like a juvenile delinquent sitting there with sunglasses on and a chain, and then to basically say that the WNBA is boring, that they need to lower the rim, and that she needs to dunk, and not only does she need to dunk, but she needs to dunk in booty shorts, and imagine how many more fans you would get, how many T-shirts you would sell if you dunked on with booty shorts on. That was reprehensible from somebody that I really admire and respect as a businessman and as a basketball player. I never expected him to go on to her show and basically disrespect her like that and feed into
hmm
the narrative that the only thing that she could do is sell sex because that's not fair to Angel Reese and it's not fair to the WNBA. I'm shame on you, Shaq.
And I'm not gonna lie, like that whole thing was just kind of one of those moments where you just the older Shaq gets, the less likable he's becoming. Like he's starting to make decisions that it's like I don't know, man. I can't really like I can't be rocking with you like that right now with the way you talking. And what's worse is taking this to a whole different world of when you look at Shaq, right? When you look at Angel Reese, when you look at these people, these are successful black men and women. A lot of young kids look up to them. A lot of young people are trying to figure out how can we be like these people. And that's the type of person that we're showing. Is like, hey, like even if I've been around you, I've seen you work, I've seen you put all this hard work into your business, into your game. I'm still gonna say because you're a woman, sex is what's gonna get you more up there.
Yeah, it's disrespectful, especially after coming off one of the most exciting WNBA finals that we've ever seen. Not one dunk took place in those games, and each one of those games were very exciting to watch, with the exception of how the game ended,
Yep.
with the referees kind of just stealing the game from Minnesota. But besides that, the WNBA is on the upswing. They don't need to dunk, they don't need to lower the rims, and they don't need to be wearing booty shorts. And again, shame on you, Shaq. Shame on you, brother. All right. If you guys want to hear anything else about the Chicago Sky, head on over to Chicago Sky Central. They are in the middle of a coaching search. Half of the coaches in the WNBA have been fired right now. It's kind of crazy. So we're gonna see a bunch of new coaches and new old faces in new places, and probably another changing of the guard is going to occur where you get some younger
Yep.
people. Candace Parker, Candace Parker,
Please.
Paging all Candace Parker. Let's see if we can get her into the coaching realms. Maybe the coach of Chicago Sky. That'll be pretty lit. All right, head over to Chicago Sky Central with Hayes and Bob, Hayes and Steve will hold it down, and of course C Dub with the live calls over on that channel too. All right, final topic: the Chicago Bears left tackle went down this last week. It was tough to see because the offensive line has been rounding out into shape, rounding out into form. But Braxton Jones is out, and it looked worse than it was because he'll only be out for like 1 or 2 weeks. So maybe he'll be back for the much awaited, longer awaited Chicago Bears versus Green Bay Packers first matchup of this season. The Bears haven't beaten the Packers since 2018, so we definitely need full strength when we go against these guys. They figure out ways to win, regardless who's out there for Green Bay. I definitely hate those guys for sure. They just had their model of consistency, and it just bothers me every time I see them go out there and put a decent product on the field. So that led to Kieran Amegadjie's debut, and it was a mixed bag for him. It was up and down. Now Larry Borum is coming back from injury as well, so maybe we'll see him out there. Maybe the two of them in and out, rotating in and out. But how you feeling about it if Larry Borum isn't good to go? How you feeling about Kieran Amegadjie? I keep missing his name up. Kieran Amegadjie's approach to the game last week, and if he can get better this week.
I mean, it's going to be one of those things. Like he's a rookie. It's going to be ups and downs. We don't know what we're going to get until we get it. If you look at the last few plays of the last few drives of the game, he did his job, right? So like, you can't say he can't be a good offensive lineman.
Mm-hmm.
The issue here is, can he do it for an entire game? Can he do it when it's going to be one of those situations where there is no one to back you up? But the hopeful part of this is he's going to know there's no one behind me. I'm not coming out. He's playing with free money.
Yeah.
Like, go out there, give it everything you got. Don't overthink. Just do what you're trained to do. And you ain't got to worry about, oh, if I make a mistake, I'm getting pulled.
Yeah. Well, he definitely made some mistakes. He definitely made some
It's our
mistakes.
offensive line. They all make mistakes at this point.
Yeah, yeah, and and again, I when the Bears drafted him, I was like, okay, he's big. I didn't like the draft pick. I'm gonna be 100 because he played at Yale, and it's like you can, of course, he go around pushing around some nerds and not give up no sacks. Like that's gonna happen. He's gonna have to learn how to play at this level because these guys that's coming at him played in the SEC, the ACC, the Big Ten, the Pac-12, the Big 12. Like it's different when you're not playing against Ivy League players every week. But he's big enough, and hopefully he's strong enough, and clearly he should be smart enough. And part of being an offensive lineman is smarts. You got to have the IQ to be able to pull up. But my biggest concern is footwork. He's going to have to get his footwork in order because it just did not look good more than it did look good last week. And you're right. If he's getting the start and if they're telling him he's going to go out there and play 40, 50 snaps or whatever many snaps they get, he has that in the back of his mind that he's going to play the entire game, then hopefully that gives him the confidence boost to go out there and do things properly. Because if not, it's going to be rough for Caleb Williams. Left tackle is a very important part of the offense, going the way they're supposed to be going, as well as in the run game. So again, the Bears got a lot of work to do. And before we move on from the Bears, just getting on Eberflus one last time, bro. I know we've talked about
Are
it
we good?
enough. I know we've talked about it enough, bro. But like seeing players over the last couple of days,
Yep.
whether it's Kevin Byard or Jalen Johnson or even DJ Moore, and the fact that they were pointing out how they didn't even like the way the game plan was approached, or even
Yep.
Cole Kmet coming out and saying that during practice people are slacking off and they're not respecting the game. All of this stuff heavily reflects on the coach and the hits principal man himself with the acronym and saying that this is how we're gonna go and this is how we're gonna do. My man, you done grew a beard and you got a nice little haircut and at the end of the day, looking cool and trying to be a friend of these guys is clearly not working. The Chicago Bears need you to be a head coach, not a homie. And I'm not liking what I'm seeing from Eberflus right now. They basically handed you the keys to a upgraded Ferrari. Here you go, all the pieces you need, my guy, and you're still out there making dumb, boneheaded decisions. You had 3 timeouts at the end of the game. Q didn't
You use
use it.
one.
You instead of calling timeout and changing the play, you pointing to your players and telling them to get closer. You got a timeout. Call the timeout and let them get closer so that they don't give up those 13 yards.
Well,
Like
even before that, like allowing an out route just with no one guarding it. Just, hey, we just
that
gonna
was the
let that
play that I'm
happen.
talking about. He was telling them, he was yelling at them from the sideline to get closer instead of using one of the timeouts.
Oh, I saw something today that, since we're just covering this again, that puts even more issue on Lance Stevenson. Or Lance I am over here just switching sports and names with people. Uh, Stevenson was taunting the play before the Hail Mary.
Just goofy,
doing
bro.
the exact same thing he did during the Hail Mary play. So he did it 2 plays in a row where he just didn't pay attention to what was happening.
And that's on coaching, bro. That's coaching and culture. And at the end of the day, when you got players coming out publicly stating these things, you know, it's not a good look, bro. It's definitely
Yeah.
not a good look. And
Yeah.
you already have a bad tenure as a Chicago Bears coach so far. They're above 500 right now, but the overall record is far from that
Yeah.
in 2.5 years. So, Eberflus, man, gather
Get out.
gather
Go home.
gather all your stuff. Get it together, guy.
No,
Get it
don't get it
together.
together. Leave.
He gonna have, well, he's
I
not
need a
leaving.
2 week. Just give me a 2 week resignation letter. I don't
The
even want it no more. I'd
Chicago
rather.
Bears are not gonna fire him. I mean, maybe they will if they lose these next two games versus the Cardinals and New England, and then they go lay an egg versus Green Bay at home. You could see the Chicago Bears fire a head coach in season. You could. And I'm not saying that I want to see it because I do want to see the Bears be 6-3. They should be 7-2 going into the Green Bay game, but I would like to see them be 6-3 going into that Green Bay game and hopefully get a victory over those guys. Because man, I swear I just don't like Green Bay, bro. I don't like it. I don't like it. It doesn't. It don't matter what happened with them, who get injured, who goes down. They still figure out ways to win because that man, the head coach out there, he's a great head coach. He's a great head coach, and I hate to say it, but it's just the reality of it. So, Eberflus, get it together, bro, because people aiming at your head. It's a target on your back right now, from Chicago fans to Chicago media to just sports media in general. Nobody likes you right now, dude. You got to feel the pressure. And the fact that you're not holding yourself accountable or your players accountable is all too telling, bro. It's all too telling. All right, so if y'all want to hear anything else about the Chicago Bears, head on over to Chicago Bears Central. I know Hayes is holding it down today's daily. So go ahead, log in, follow every channel that we have for the Chi-Town Sports Family: Chicago White Sox, Cubs, Bulls, Bears, Blackhawks, Sky Central, and NBA Central, where we've been holding it down every day with daily content and nightly content as well, and the Chi Bulls podcast with the Cognac Boys, C-Dub and Bobby. For your boy Q, it's your boy Big Kev. We're going to holler at you guys next time. Peace.